Welcome to the Lion's Share podcast, where we break down today's most impactful research and bring fresh insights from the academic frontier straight to you.
Today, we're looking at something fascinating, how the people sitting around a company's boardroom table might actually influence the new snacks or drinks you find on your next shopping trip.
Yeah, it sounds a bit abstract, doesn't it? Corporate governance and new product innovation.
Right. But this paper we're diving into, Corporate Board Interlocks and New Product Introductions. It's by Srinivasan, Wuyts, and Mallapragada from 2018. It really connects those dots.
It does. And our goal here is to, pull out the key insights for our listeners, particularly those of you at the DBA or PhD level in marketing. Think of it as a shortcut through some really dense but important research.
A shortcut to understanding how those top-level connections can shape market strategy.
Exactly. Who knows who at the top impacts what a company actually does in the market.
Okay, so let's unpack this. The core problem the paper tackles. Well, we know boards influence big strategic stuff, right? Finance, M&A.
Sure, the big picture decisions.
Yeah, but their specific role in new product introductions, especially the day-to-day kind, it's been kind of overlooked, which seems like a gap. Why do you think that is? Why hasn't the boardroom's link to marketing innovation gotten more attention?
That's a great question. I think historically, marketing research often focused more downstream. On the marketing department itself, maybe the CMO.
Or operational things.
Exactly. The board felt, more like a governance layer, oversight, compliance, not directly involved in, say, launching a new flavor of chips. This study really challenges that assumption, and they chose a really interesting context to do it in. Publicly listed U.S. companies in consumer packaged goods, CPG.
Specifically food and beverage firms between 1997 and 2012.
Right, and that industry choice is key.
Because it's not about massive tech breakthroughs, is it?
Not usually, no. In CPG, innovation is mostly incremental. Think minor changes, small improvements.
Like you said, a new flavor, slightly better recipe, maybe new packaging, driven by shifting consumer tastes, market trends.
Precisely. Jandy and Tellis called it relatively minor changes in technology, offering relatively low incremental customer benefits per dollar, but don't underestimate them.
Right. They're vital.
Absolutely vital for keeping up with customers, fighting off competitors, growing revenue.
Yeah.
For industries like CPG, it's often the main way they adapt.
So within the CPG world, the authors zero in on this novel hitherto overlooked driver.
Which is the firm's position in board interlock networks.
Okay, board interlocks. Let's break that down.
It's pretty simple, actually. It just means you have a director on your board who also sits on the board of another company.
Ah, okay. Like the example in the paper, Ian Cook at PepsiCo also being on the Colgate-Palmolive board.
Exactly that. And traditionally, people saw these links as, communication channels, ways to get market intelligence, see what others are doing.
So the big question they're asking is, how does being central in this network of interlocks?
The different features of the board itself.
How does that actually affect how many of these incremental new products a company launches? It's really about that top-down influence on product strategy.
It is. But before we jump into what they found, maybe we should clarify a couple of key terms. They're pretty central to understanding the study, especially for a doctoral audience.
Good idea. Lay them on us.
Okay, first, board interlock centrality. They measure it using something called eigenvector centrality, or EVC.
EVC sounds complex.
It's a bit more sophisticated than just counting connections, yeah? AVC doesn't just look at how many boards your directors are linked to. It also considers how well connected those other boards are.
Ah, so it's like being connected to the popular kids gives you more influence.
Sort of, yeah, exactly. Yeah. If your directors sit on boards of firms that are themselves very central, very connected, your firm's EVC score goes up. It captures direct and indirect access to information, to knowledge flows.
Okay, so it's a measure of potential access to valuable intel through the network. How does that actually help spark ideas, though?
Well, a higher EVC implies broader, potentially richer access to diverse information, market trends, competitor moves, new technologies, consumer insights from different angles. It just gives the firm a wider net for catching valuable signals.
Got it. Makes sense. What else? You mentioned another framework.
Right. The Motivation Opportunity Ability Theory, MOA. This one's key for understanding the moderators they looked at.
Okay, MOA. Tell me more.
So think of it like this. The board interlocks, the centrality, that provides the opportunity.
Access to the information.
Exactly. But just having access isn't enough. right? The firm also needs the motivation to act on that information and the ability, the resources, the processes, the know-how to actually turn that intelligence into a new product.
Okay. Opportunity isn't useful without motivation and ability.
Precisely. And the study argues that characteristics of the board's leadership are what drive that motivation and ability.
Interesting. So the interlocks open the door, but the board's makeup decides if the firm walks through and does something useful, which brings us to another distinction they make: internal versus external leadership.
Yeah. Internal leadership is pretty straightforward. Senior execs from the company itself who are also on the board, they know the firm inside out.
And external leadership.
Those are board members who aren't executives at the firm. But here, they make another important split.
Which is?
Between intra-industry external directors, folks from the same industry.
Like another food company director.
Right. And out-of-industry directors, people from totally different sectors. Tech, finance, whatever. Each brings a different kind of knowledge.
Okay, that's clear. So let's talk about how they studied this. Sounds like a solid methodology.
Very much so. They had this panel data set, food and beverage firms, tracked them for 15 years, looked at board composition, who was connected to whom, and counted new product launches.
And used appropriate stats, right? Like negative binomial regression for count data.
Exactly. And they tackled endogeneity pretty seriously. They even used the Sarbanes-Oxley Act passing as a kind of external shock to test robustness. It's rigorous work.
So after all that digging, what did they find? Did centrality matter?
It absolutely did. That was their first main finding, supporting hypothesis 1. Higher board interlock centrality. Higher EVC leads to more new product introductions.
Okay, so the network connections do provide useful intel for innovation.
Seems like it. It confirms that these interlocks are valuable conduits for market intelligence, creating opportunities to adapt. Centrality matters.
But here's where it gets really juicy, right? It's not just about being central. It's about how that centrality gets used. The moderators, the MOA factors.
Exactly. This is where the MOA framework really shines. Let's walk through them. First, internal leadership.
The company execs on the board.
Right? They found the positive effect of centrality on new products was stronger when there was more internal leadership on the board.
Why is that?
Well, these internal directors, they know the firm's resources, its capabilities, its politics. They can better translate external intel into something actionable internally. Plus, their incentives are often tied directly to firm performance, like stock options, so they're motivated to pursue good opportunities.
So even though you might worry about groupthink with insiders.
Right, that's a common concern. But here, the benefits of effectively leveraging the external market intelligence seem to outweigh that risk. Their internal knowledge and motivation amplify the opportunity.
Okay, that makes sense. They can actually do something with the information. But then it flips, doesn't it, when you look at intra-industry external leadership?
It does. This was quite a striking finding. The positive effect of centrality was weaker when the board had a lot of external directors from the same industry.
That seems counterintuitive. Wouldn't more industry experts be better for industry-specific innovation? Why did they find it weakens the effect?
Great question. They suggest a couple of reasons. One is the potential for conflicting fiduciary duties. Well, if a director sits on your board and the board of another company in your industry, even if not a direct competitor today, they might be hesitant to share really sensitive, valuable market intelligence. It could benefit the other firm. They mentioned the classic Google-Apple example, Eric Schmidt leaving Apple's board.
The potential conflict of interest dampens information sharing.
Potentially, yes. The second reason is about the novelty of the information. If your external directors are all steeped in the same industry logic, their insights might overlap too much with what management already knows.
Risk of groupthink again, but an industry-level version. Too much shared experience leads to blind spots.
Exactly. It could lead to myopia, actually stifling truly new ideas. Out-of-industry directors, on the other hand, don't have those conflicts and are more likely to bring genuinely fresh perspectives.
Fascinating. So too much insider-external insight can be limiting. Okay, what about marketing leadership?
This is a big one for our audience. They found the positive effect of board centrality was stronger when the firm had internal marketing leadership. So marketing execs on the board, and also when it had a marketing CEO, someone with a marketing or sales background.
That really underscores marketing's strategic importance at the top.
Absolutely. Marketing is fundamentally an outside-in function. Right? Focus on the customer, the market. New products are core to what marketing does.
So they're naturally attuned to this kind of market intelligence.
Exactly. They have the mindset, the frameworks, the knowledge schemas to recognize valuable market signals and translate them into product development opportunities. They have the ability and likely the motivation.
And this was unique to marketing?
Apparently so. They tested other functional backgrounds like finance or operations leaders and didn't find the same strengthening effect. It highlights a distinct contribution of marketing leadership to leveraging network intelligence for innovation.
Wow. Okay, so bringing it all together, what are the big takeaways here? For you, the listener, whether you're deep in academia or making product decisions in a company?
Well, from a managerial perspective, a few things jump out. First, clearly, board interlocks aren't just passive connections. They are active bridges to intelligence that fuels innovation.
So firms should be more deliberate about them.
Yes. Maybe even formalize how that intelligence gets surfaced and discussed in board meetings. Put it on the agenda. Second, and this is crucial, board appointments are strategic levers for innovation.
How so?
The C-suite needs to realize that who they put on the board directly impacts the product pipeline. This study gives pretty clear guidance. Internal directors, out-of-industry external directors, internal marketing leaders, a marketing CEO, these all seem to amplify the benefits of being well-connected.
Whereas too many inter-industry external directors might dampen it.
Right. These choices have real consequences, and it's not just theory.
You mean there's an economic impact?
Definitely. The study put numbers on it. A 1 standard deviation jump in centrality meant an 11% increase in new product introductions. Having internal marketing leadership boosted MPI by 13%, a marketing CEO by 15%.
Those aren't trivial numbers?
Not at all. And more new products, they note, also tend to increase free cash flow and reduce stock price volatility. So it links to real business value, shareholder value.
And for the scholars listening, what are the key theoretical contributions? How does this push the literature forward?
I think there are 3 main contributions. First, it adds this novel top-down driver board interlock centrality to how we think about organizational innovation. It complements existing research-focused lower down.
Broadens the picture.
Right. Second, for social network theory, it does a nice job of separating the network position, the opportunity from EVC, from the firm's motivation and ability to act, using the board characteristics. It addresses that old over-embeddedness critique. And third, as we discussed, it really highlights the specific strategic role of marketing leadership at the very top board level, CEO level, in driving innovation outcomes. It elevates marketing's strategic importance.
Now, no study is perfect. What were some limitations here? Or where could future research go?
Good point. Generalizability is one. It's focused on U.S. CPG, mostly food and beverage. Does it hold up in tech? In services?
Right.
In other countries? We need more research there.
Makes sense. Different innovation dynamics in other sectors?
Exactly. Another point is mimetic isomorphism. They ruled out direct imitation, but could firms just be copying general strategies because everyone else is doing it, responding similarly to uncertainty? It's hard to disentangle truly unique intel from shared trend following using this data.
A subtle but important distinction, acting on unique insight versus just following the herd.
Right. Third, relying on secondary data means they couldn't look at things like, say, firm culture, or who specifically on the board created which interlock. Was it an insider or an outsider?
Yeah.
That could add more nuance.
Keeper mechanisms.
Yeah. And finally, it's all about publicly listed firms. What about private companies, startups? Their governance is different. How do interlocks work there? That's an open question.
Okay. So, wrapping up, this deep dive really paints a picture of the boardroom, not just as a compliance function, but as this dynamic hub of information.
Absolutely. A strategic asset.
That directly influences the products we see and use.
It's a strong reminder for leaders, especially in marketing, to think really critically about board composition. It's not just about corporate governance checklists. It's about building a board that can effectively capture and translate external intelligence into innovation.
It's not just having the network.
It's making the network work for you, strategically, for real innovation impact.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you to consider. In today's world, just drowning in data and information, how deliberate are firms, really, about designing their board connections to get genuinely new and useful market insights, not just reinforcing what they already think.
Yeah, what does that truly strategic network management look like in practice? And what's the long-term competitive edge it provides?
Thanks for tuning into the Lion's Share podcast. If you enjoyed today's discussion, share it with a friend and join us next time for more ideas worth talking about. We'll see you next time.